I just want to let you know that I am dedicated to being your one-stop shop for Castlevania news information. And so we're here today with a brand new news beat about some Castlevania information that's come to light. I'm so committed to this that I just got out of bed after putting my kids to sleep and was just gonna flip through my phone, maybe play some Switch, and all of a sudden, boom! Dead Cells Castlevania downloadable content coming in Q1 2023. A lot of people probably are wondering my thoughts on this. Meh. I don't know. I'm not. I don't care. I'm gonna be honest. I said this in a previous video. I don't mind this downloadable content coming to different, these cameo roles coming for Castlevania. Clearly, Konami's looking to make some coin. I get it. They want the brand to succeed in other avenues. To me, personally, this is my opinion, this waters down the brand, to me. We all want a new Castlevania game, okay? I don't know how much clearer we need to be to you, Konami. We don't, I mean, okay. Let me rephrase this, because I'm starting to get in my own head. I'm going to start getting angry and start getting frustrated, and I'm going to turn into a total nerd, entitled jerk. Personally, I don't want this, Konami. Now, I'm sure Dead Cell fans are probably also maybe Castlevania fans and are very excited by this. There may be some Castlevania fans that aren't familiar with the Dead Cell brand, the franchise, if you could call it that, I guess. IP, let's go with IP. Dead Cells is a roguelike Metroidvania, that word, action, search action, non-linear action game. I don't know what you want to call it, but it is what it is. You want to call it Metroidvania, cool, call it Metroidvania. And yeah, it's got a little, it's got some horror aesthetic, and it's not quite like horror gothic, kind of Castlevania vibes. Here's my thing about all these games that have come out into the market that just flood the market. It's like one after another, all of these massive Castlevania clones or Metroidvania clones or whatever you want to call them. Some games get it right. They do their own thing, like Guacamelee, for example. They take inspiration and they make their own IPs and they make their own style and everything. But to me, a lot of these games, like Dead Cells and even Bloodstained. I mean, Bloodstained is by somebody that's in depth with Konami. So I still like that. Not so much some of these other games that are coming out. Blasphemous, I think, is the other one. And granted, these games have their fan bases, and that's great and everything. But to me, when you don't release Castlevania content for a long time, like its own game, its own series, it's very clear that Konami is banking on the Netflix, bump in sales, the legacy titles being re-released. They're making money off of that. That's great. I'm all happy about that. I'm totally in on Castlevania games getting re-released and getting brought to a new audience and getting ported so that people don't have to spend hundreds of dollars to get these old games. So I'm all in on that. Totally cool. Great. My issue is the series now is at a point where the Mega Man franchise was at several years ago, where there's no new games being created. They're only relying on nostalgia for the original series and the franchise. And the difference here is that the Netflix show is very aggressively helping fuel the interest, the modern day interest in Castlevania. And that's great. That's wonderful. As long as those Netflix fans are then going and checking out the series, in my opinion. That's what I think they should do. Like, oh, what's this based on? A video game? yeah, I think I remember hearing about this Castlevania game. Let me watch the show. Whoa, I really like the show. Okay, I'm going to go check out the games. That's kind of how it should be. But it's very clear that Konami is getting away from the Lords of Shadow franchise. They're done with that. That didn't work for them. It worked initially as far as the first game, and then it just sales tanked, and it's very obvious that the series is headed back to its original classic timeline, and that's wonderful, in my opinion. But you have to do something with that, Konami. As far as what to do with that, I don't know. I mean, I know you guys don't want to screw it up, but I mean, like, listen to the fan base. It's very clear that we all want the 1999 Demon Castle War game. We'd love that to continue Iga's legacy with the series. We'd all love that. We'd all love a classic game. You know, you had Grimoire of Souls come out, and that actually was pretty fun. That was, you know, a step in the right direction. It was something new, something a little different. But I'm gonna be honest. This new game, this Dead Cells announcement, it doesn't really do much for me personally. I do not like roguelikes, and I'm kind of done with a lot of these like cookie cutter games that are just inspired by Castlevania. Much like a lot of the Mega Man platformers were in, you know, the Mega Man clones that were coming out several years ago before Mega Man 11 came out. I really hope that Konami is listening to us and seeing our interest in Castlevania to understand that we want a new game in the franchise. Be it like another Rebirth title where you take like maybe Castlevania 2 Belmont's Revenge and kind of remake it. That would be cool. Just an idea. I don't know, a thought. Have M2 do it. It's very clear that Konami doesn't have the ability to make their own games anymore with the original staff, or, you know, even with a team. Like, they have an in-house team, but it's very small, and it's pretty obvious that they're not putting out the games that they once were. Now it seems like what they're doing is they're licensing their properties, their IPs, to different companies, different third parties, to release games. And I think that's a wonderful idea, but I think, personally, that if you're gonna do this, I think that you should have a Japanese company, a legacy company, or a company that understands the franchise, that has maybe worked with the franchise before and has produced stellar results. I'm thinking M2. Yeah, that's right. I think, honestly, M2 is the only company in my mind that can do this right. Side note, secondary company that could also probably do this right is Intercreates. I think they could do a pretty good job with Castlevania's legacy as well. Whether or not this happens, I don't know. Do I think there's any inkling of it happening? I think the M2 thing is more likely, just because, you know, Konami and M2 have worked together on these anniversary collections that they've been putting out. So, and they have history with the Castlevania Adventure Rebirth. So, personally, I think they could make it happen. You know, assign a very small team to this game, have them do it within, I don't know, a year and a half, and see what happens, you know? Even if it's something 2D or 2.5D, just keep it simple, guys. You don't need to go big. You don't need to make these ginormous 3D games. I think that's part of the problem is Konami, you go too deep and try to like reinvigorate and rebirth these series. And really, fans of the timeline, they just want more games in the timeline. I know you kind of wrote yourself into a corner in a lot of aspects, but I don't know. Why not remake Castlevania Legends and fix a lot of things, you know, that a lot of people have problems with, and get it back in the timeline? Get Sonya back in the timeline. Justice for Sonya Belmont. Just saying. So that's my rant, guys. Dead Cells, I'm happy that the company is working with Konami to advance the franchise's series, but personally, it's just not for me. The video was cool, albeit a little cartoony and a little cutesy, which is, I guess, okay. But I want to know what you guys think. What do you think about this Dead Cells announcement with the downloadable content coming courtesy of the developer and Konami, who they're working with? Let me know down in the comments below. As always, guys, thanks so much for watching and staying tuned. And just so you know, I don't have pants on. So don't look down. Stop it. I see you. I see you. You're no. Okay, I'm out of here.